What's up, y'all? Today's the day. We are aerating and overseeding. If you've followed along thus far, we've already killed the entire lawn. We've mowed it to 2 inches. We're ready to go. Today's the day. Follow along. We're gonna aerate and overseed. I'm gonna apply a starter fertilizer and a moisture manager since I did kill the entire lawn. I'm gonna walk you through the process. Any questions that you have, leave them in the comments, but I'm excited. Okay, y'all. We're going to be using the Ryan Lawn Air ZTS today. It is a 30-inch core aerator. A lot of the aerators on the market, Stinger, Lesco, etc., are all 30 inches. You can rent yours from your local rental yard. I had planned to rent one from a local rental yard, and I had it on 4 or 5 months ago. I booked it. Well, went to go pick it up, and they gave it to somebody else. So, I'm not going to say who that was. But anyway, luckily, I have a buddy, and he owns a lawn care company, and he graciously let me borrow it this weekend. I mean, what a lifesaver. Anyway, this thing is awesome. I've done a couple other lawns today, and now we're about to do our yard. So excited. Before I get started, I just wanted to show you guys the controls if you had any questions about those. So we've got our throttle here, we've got our choke here. This is the pressure gauge that you can set your tines depending on how tough your soil is. So if you have soft soil, normal soil, firm, you can adjust this PSI gauge to accommodate that. I've been rocking it at 400 PSI today, and it's been doing really well. We've had some hard soil, lack of rain. We did get some rain last night, and that's been doing great, or because of that. So you've got to have your parking brake on. If you haven't warmed it up, pull your choke on, but I have, and then you just give it a go. All right, and then to operate it, just like most zero turns, you know, your hydro is like this, and then this is how you engage the jack plates. So I will focus you here and press it, and we go down. Press it and disengage. Okay guys, so went ahead and did 2 passes. I did a cross-section pass. This yard I've had for 3 years, and I've never aerated or overseeded it. So the ground was pretty compact, so that's why I did 2 passes. I know some people recommend doing more, but just based on the way it looks to me, it looks pretty good. Let me know what you all think. But these cores right here, so this one's pretty dry. I mean, it's not dust, but it's also not as wet as it should be. These should be kind of like muddy balls if they're wet enough. So they should kind of be like a firm but soft dog turd. I know that's kind of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm sure I am. You can say whatever you want, it's the internet. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what you want it. You don't want it to poof away. But yeah, so let's get back to it. Here is the lineup. We've got the Tall Fescue Select by Lesco. And then we've got our 182412, also by Lesco. And then we have our moisture manager. All products from Site 1 at Lesco. All right, these 3 products are gonna be our trifecta. They're gonna be our heavy hitters for this project. Since we've killed the entire yard, we're gonna lay that seed down a little bit heavier than normal. Typically I would do 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet, but since we're doing the renovation, we're gonna do 8 pounds for the 1,000 square feet. I've got about 8,500 square feet, so we're gonna lay that down first, and then we've got our nitrogen heavy starter fertilizer. We're gonna lay that at 4.2 pounds per 1,000 square feet, and then following it up with the moisture manager that's going to just help lock in that moisture. It pulls moisture from the air and keeps that soil moist longer. It does help with reducing watering, but for me, I just don't want my seed to dry out. I want my little bebes to die. So those are the 3 products that we're going to use. We're going to get to spreading now. And we're going to be using this 80-pound Let's Go broadcast spreader. Got the rain guard on it, the waterproofing top. It has been intermittent raining all day today. It's been a game changer. You don't want your product to get wet when you're doing this. And this is a fantastic spreader. This video looks like I'm sponsored by Let's Go, but I just go to Site One. So I'm definitely not sponsored by anybody, but it could be. Alrighty, so we need right at 68 pounds of seed for the whole yard. And you know, if you know how to measure and you feel comfortable with that, if you feel comfortable with however you measure your seed, your product out, go ahead and do it that way. However, you can use a luggage scale and put your product in a bucket. So I've already weighed this bucket. This weighs 5 pounds. So you can zero it out each time, or you can put it on, weigh the bucket, tear it out. But I'm just deducting 5 pounds from the total weight. So this is right under 15 pounds, so let's just call it 14 pounds. So that's gonna be 9 pounds into the hopper. And then that way you can measure out your product so you know what you need and you're using it accurately. So for this spreader to put down 8 pounds, for me, that's about the 28 setting. 22 is where I can get 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna roll with. Okay, so we've got about 36, we've got 36 pounds right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and run with this. That's a little more than half for the whole yard. So we're gonna put this waterproof cover on it and do about half the yard. And we'll come back, fill up the rest. Y'all, isn't it great when a plan comes together and actually freaking works? My ADHD brain just, sometimes I measure once and cut 15 times, but things are coming along today and it's beautiful. So that was a little over half of the seed in total, and it did a little over half of the yard. Amazing. Love that. Anyway, I'm gonna add the rest here and finish the yard. Let you guys watch along. If you have any questions while I'm pushing, leave them in the comments. Does anybody else like genuinely lose something all the time? Like, my garage is a mess, I'm a mess, but it's okay. It's okay. I know that many of us are like this, and that solidarity is what keeps me going. Okay, pro tip here. Well, common sense tip here. This guy is what opens the chute. Closed, open, closed, open. Well, when you're pouring your product, your seed, your fertilizer, or whatever in the hopper, keep it closed, because if not, guess where it goes? On the floor. Some of you cool cats might already know this. This right here, pull it up, pop it down, and now we've got a shield for the right hand side. So if we're passing beds or something like that, we can not put our seed in there where we don't want it, on the side of the road, wherever that is. However, it is recommended that you lower your setting so you don't have the same amount of product coming out as if the whole, like if you didn't have that chute blocker down. Bring you guys along with me. Oh, one hand action. Speedy fast. We need 36 pounds of our starter fertilizer. So it started to rain again. Good thing I've got the waterproof cover, but not good for cameras. So I'm gonna have you guys hang out on the porch. Watch me from there. While we take a walk to the porch, the starter fertilizer, the 18-24-12, The number on the 80-pound Let's Go broadcast spreader is 15, and that's to get 4.2 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So it's still raining a little bit, but I did want to tell you what I was going to do when you see me out on that, what people call like the devil strip between the sidewalk and the road. So this is a setting of 15. So I'll put that right chute down and I'll just do a setting of 7 or 7.5 and go with the chute on the right side. And if you go slow, it spreads perfectly to the left side of the strip. Repeat on the way back and it gets it covered, and you're putting half the product down going twice. It gets it pretty good. Okay, the last thing that we're gonna put down is our moisture manager. Like I said earlier, this is gonna really help with keeping the soil and seed hydrated, so it doesn't have has a less of a chance of burning out and dying and not germinating, which we do not want. This stuff is pretty expensive though, but to me, I think it's worth it. So we're gonna lay this down. This is 22 pounds, 2.7 pounds per 1,000 square feet. We're gonna lay it down, and then typically you would water. The rain is watering for me, which is fantastic. But yesterday I did lay out all my hoses and get that system. I can show you what I did if you'd like. I've got these timers by Rainbird that I really like and highly suggest, but that's another video for another time. I forgot to tell you the setting. It's 12, at least on this one.